So what is happening, my fellow friends? It's Fed again, and we're back. And you're probably wondering why you're not seeing the game, you're seeing my big face. But I think we are going to start out a little bit with some talk about all this here. We're going to start this here out with actually talking a little bit about The Witcher, a little bit about the Netflix series, and a little bit about the lore behind it. And the reason for all that is because I've actually streamed first game and the second game from start to finish a long time ago. Actually, you can find it on my channel, Twitch or YouTube, whatever you prefer. Anyways, I have been a fan of the Witcher series for a long time. One of the reasons is that I've read the books, and I played the first game when it came out back in when was it? It was not when it came out on the vanilla. I think I picked it up when just after the Game of the Year, or right at the time the Game of the Year edition of the first Witcher came out. I played everything on PC, and there was a lot of things that have changed during that time. After that, I found out there were books around this here. There's all of them in Polish at the time. I think the first book, we'll get into that a little bit later. The first book actually came out a long time ago, back in 2008 and 2009. Or maybe it was before, I can't remember exactly this, but it was translated at some time, I think a year afterwards. As we've seen, CD Projekt Red has done a lot of this here. The book series for the Polish country community, whatever you would call it, it states that this here is the Lord of the Rings of Poland, because it's written by a Polish author, Andrzej Spakowski, if I pronounce his name correctly. I probably butchered that. So, what is there to tell? Let's start with the Netflix series. So, this Friday, the Netflix series came out. 8 episodes, tailing The Witcher. We've seen, of course, a lot of comments about this here in general. I think they've done... Well, I was skeptical with the casting first, as soon as we saw him the first time. The famous Superman guy, who I can't remember which name... What actually... Chris something? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's not about it to talk about him. I've seen all 8 episodes. Binge watched them yesterday, pretty much. And a lot of people have mixed feelings about this here, especially since I've seen comments about, like, this is what failed and why The Mandalorian is so great. Let's start with that. I think that is total bullshit, in my opinion, because there's a huge difference between what they're trying to do with Witcher as the series and what Mandalorian is. So the reason for that is we need to talk about when Geralt was first introduced to this here world. Well, the first book that came out from the author was The Last Wish, and it's entailed in short stories. If you read that book, you will come out in most cases as a big question mark. The reason for that is that it is short stories in a big book. It jumps around through the Witcher's events, and some of them are portrayed in the series. Use The Last Wish in general, and here, spoiler alert. So skip this here if you don't want to hear this. Come back in 5-10 minutes. So The Last Wish entails that is what happens in the episode where he first meets Yennefer. That is the wish he makes with the djinn. That is the entailing of that. That is a short story in that thing. There's nothing really mentioned about Ciri in general. In the other part of this here, what you see, for instance, where Ciri escapes the attack from Nilfgaard on Sintra, the queen dying and all that, that is something that does not happen in that book. That is the saga called The Sword of Destiny, which entails 5 books in general. It starts off with The Sword of Destiny, and then it's Blood and Elves. And then it goes on to the bathtub of fire, and I can't remember the last two. Oh, this lady at the lake, I think. And then there's the last one, which I actually haven't read because the thing is, I've read them on paper and I've listened to them on audiobooks. So the reason why I've had to constantly re-listen to them or reread them is because they are so hard for me, and I suck at reading in general. I love fiction, but I'm a horrible reader. They're so confusing, and that's probably one of the biggest reasons why people are critiquing the series. Is doesn't make sense. It jumps around. Suddenly you see Geralt in a town running around doing stuff. They're on a mountain hunting dragons, and then suddenly you switch over to Ciri. Hello there, thank you for stopping by. Oh God, I think I pronounced that correctly. But anyway, so there's a lot of things there in that in my opinion doesn't make that are confusing people. I think if you look at the series with 8 episodes Netflix has put out, well, at least I got some part of it. Again, thank you for watching. And well, just getting all this here over, so I have an introduction to all this, then we'll go ahead and play this game here in just a minute, or maybe a little bit fewer. Bear with me. Anyways, one of the reasons why I think this here is so important to know and actually come back to and rewatching the series is that they're actually doing a really good job in actually doing the books and the stories justice. Even though there is some variation where you can say, okay, they're trying to skip over that, and that's because there is one of the things is that happens, and you will see that probably in the next season, I'm guessing, if there will be a next season, is that there's a lot of time going between. The good thing is, if you, again, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched, don't listen. Anyways, in the episode Last Wish, where Geralt meets Yennefer for the first time, and they are bound together, then you switch over to another episode where Geralt is meeting a person in a town. He's being asked to go out and hunt a dragon that has been seen and crashed on a near the town, and there he meets Yennefer. That is actually the time between that. We see a flashback to them where they argue, where they are in what's it called, in her quarters, where the Jinn escapes, or they crash in and the whole top area is destroyed. That is actually not true. If you look at the books, after that, they actually spend a huge amount of time together. They actually at some point have a house together, and Geralt and them constantly argues because as one thing is, Geralt doesn't want to be a husband or something like that. He's a witcher. He wants to go out, and Yennefer doesn't want to be a wife. So there's that confusion. And again, this here is also the confusion about what you don't know is actually what he wishes for too, because he is the holder of the last wish, which Yennefer gets wrong because she thinks it's the bard, which I cannot remember the name of right now, the character in general, but Dandelion, I think that's the name of him. Anyways, so that is the time, and what the series is trying to do is to make you watch and keep on watching, is try to condense that into lesser things so it flashbacks to something that doesn't have. And that's where you could have critiques on that it doesn't stay true to the books. There are a lot of things they're skipping. Also, I cannot remember how old Ciri is actually in the books when she escapes from Nilfgaard. So this is the whole thing about this. So also, one of the things that people need to know is that the books do not portray the game. All that you read in the books is prequel to the games, the first one, and the second one, and the third one, which we're going to take a look at. So that is a huge thing, in my opinion, that you need to. Some people need to understand that what the Mandalorian does is something totally different. I don't want to go into that history because we're going to focus on The Witcher. So I think in general you should in my opinion, have a critical eye on things, but definitely also look at that you're trying to, especially when you see something like that, and it's probably clickbaiting, in my opinion at least, that when they give that title of saying, oh, what The Witcher failed, and it's not what The Mandalorian is, because I want you to go in and click and rage or something like that. And one of the things is that you're talking about apples and bananas, not the same thing. It's not the same series, not the same saga, it's not the same story they're trying to tell, and they're coming on different things. This is the main character of the thing here, and then there's the side story, what The Mandalorian does here in general. So it's not, nobody should try to mix that in. You can say, of course, one is quality wise more diverse or has a bigger budget, maybe, I don't know. Some of the CGI in The Mandalorian, in my opinion, looks like crap. But I do love the series, and the same thing, I think that some of the things in the CGI in The Witcher looks great compared to The Mandalorian. There are things there you need to, in my opinion, you need to understand. So where are we right now? So if we skip all of that book and we go ahead to what happened in the first game is, well, Geralt, you meet Geralt in a small, you meet him back at the Witcher Palace, or not the palace, where the Witchers are born, and we will see something like that here in a flashback to actually that thing where Vesemir and all the Witchers are there, and there it will be attacked. Geralt has at that time lost his memory, can't remember what happened during what portrayed before that, only that he came in, he was found, and he was badly wounded, and he was healing up at Kaer Morhen, which is the name of the castle or the place, whatever you call it, where the Witchers are. So that is the first game. He tries to collect his memories, go through a lot of series. He comes back. One of the things that you see in the series is that he actually rescues a princess for King Foltest, who has turned into, or has been cursed and turned into a Striga. What you see in the first game, if you played it, is where you come back and actually go ahead and meet King Foltest again, and you actually see that you actually rescue her again because she's turning back into it for some strange reason. I can't remember. But that is one of the quest lines in the first game. There are a lot of things there. The second game, you actually regain some of your memory, and you're trying to figure a little bit out, and you're actually trying to establish who's Yennefer is and all that, and that's where you go for all that. On top of that, you get blamed for killing a king, because it's a Witcher that does this. You're trying to figure that mystery out. The third game, you're actually trying to find Yennefer, you're trying to find Ciri and all that. And I played the third one. I played with The Witcher 3 back when it came out. I haven't played anything after that. That means I played the vanilla version. So there's a lot of things where I can say I have no idea what's going on. I have not played the Blood and Wine. I have not played Heart of Stone. I've played none of the DLC. So we're going to take a look at that. So this here is an endeavor probably going to take months, maybe a half year or more to finish this year. My goal is to have this year done hopefully before Cyberpunk comes out. So we will have to see if that is possible with my schedule and all that. I have a really busy first quarter schedule going on, so who knows. But enough blabbering. Let's get to it.